This is the work session for the Cochise County Board of Supervisors, and we are going to be hearing from the Public Works Department. And we have with us Mr. Jason Fazio, the Director of Public Works, and we also have attending Jackie Watkins, the Director of Engineering and Natural Resources. So let's start with the update, including the following topics, starting with Highways Quarterly Work Plan. Mr. Fazio. Yes. That's okay.
Through the
Okay, the top part? Okay. This is Tuesday, May 7th, 2024 at 1 p.m. Board of Supervisors Hearing Room, 1415 Melody Lane, Building G, Bisbee, Arizona, 85603, pursuant to ARS 38-431-02H. The public will have physical access to the meeting place 15 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. Any item on this agenda is open for discussion. Members of the Cochise County Board of Supervisors will attend either in person or by telephone, via internet, or conferencing. Members of the public may also attend this meeting via Microsoft Teams, computer or mobile phone, mobile app, or via phone by calling 602-609-7513 or 888-680-6714. Conference ID 564999. 643#. If you have trouble accessing this meeting remotely, call 520-432-9200 for direction. Work sessions are a time for county staff to inform and discuss agenda items of the Board of Supervisors, and public comment will not be taken. And I believe, okay.
in attendance today if supervisors are.
All right. Tom Crosby is in attendance, and we may have Ms. Peggy Judd in attendance. Ms. Judd, are you with us today? My guess not. And we already knew Madam English was not going to be in attendance today, so we just have one supervisor on board. Thank you very much. Mr. Fazio, would you care to address the board?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Crosby, members of the board. We're going to touch base on the Public Works Quarterly Work Plan. My name is Jason Fazio. I'm the Public Works Director, Cochise County. We decided to go ahead and throw a little picture on there for our chip seal project. That's actually a project that's going on right now. We started chip sealing Frontier Road and this past week. So we decided to throw it up there for you guys. So in the quarterly work plan that we have here present today, we have the last quarter as well as the current quarter. The reason being is we wanted to show the last 3 months of what we had been doing, because what happened was we had an early spring, and so we were able to go ahead and start prepping for chip seal this year early. So we got in there and started doing some crack seal. We talked about some crack seal. We did chip seal preparation on Sierra Vista Estates, Mountain Ranch, and several other places. We started chip sealing last week on Frontier Road and Prince Road. And all the other stuff that we're doing so far is just prep. But what was nice about this year is because it got warm early, we were able to start these a little ahead of schedule. So far, what we've got done this year is we've prepped Cascabel, we've prepped Sierra Vista Estates, and some of these bounce around because what we're using right now is we're using all of our workforce to kind of go out and work at these different locations for traffic control and things like that. So we don't have just Benson working in Benson. We have Bisbee sharing employees with Benson and so forth. So we can get some more stuff done. But we got some hot mix done at the Benson Transfer Station. Like I said, chip seal prep on Mountain Ranch, chip seal prep in Mountain Mesa, chip seal prep on Airport Road and Dark Sky. We did some cattle guard cleanouts and stuff on Johnson Road. I know that's an issue that Jackie and I have been trying to keep things straightened out on. We also had to do a cattle guard installation on that road. We did not chip seal Cascabel yet, but that looks like it's coming up in the next month or so. McNeil Town Site and Frontier Road were, like I said, Frontier was last week. Prince Road was last week as well, but the guys are out there chip sealing McNeil Town Site. And if I'm not mistaken, McNeil is now done. So McNeil Town Site is already chip sealed and it happened within a couple of days. So what they'll do now is they'll start fog sealing Frontier and the town site of McNeil and get that all sealed up and then restriped. Our maintenance grading and our right-of-way mowing, we've kind of put that on hold. We're still doing some maintenance grading in some areas so we don't fall too far behind while we're in chip seal season. Our mowing is pretty much stalled out just because we don't have a lot of areas to mow right now, and we're using most of our workforce on our chip seals. So once we start getting kind of the chip seal process rolling a little bit better and into the season, we'll probably throw a couple of mowers out there once we start seeing some rain, because we'll start seeing the grass pop up and stuff again, so we can keep up on that. It may slow us down on chip seal, but we think it probably won't. We're trying to put on another couple of employees. We're still down quite a few. So if we have a couple more employees in there and we get them trained, we'll have guys that can mow while we're doing chip seal. Apache Pass is over in the north. That's one of the next places we're going to hit. I think we're mowing over there next week.
Yeah, we're moving over there at the end of this week and we'll be chips in next week.
Okay. So we hope that's all prepped and ready to go. So we hope to have that probably chip sealed within a week or so too. Birch Road is something that engineering and I are working on for some drainage issues. We know we have it on here for a chip seal. We kind of marked it off right now. We're waiting on some drawings from engineering so we can put in the 3 new culverts. So we have some better drainage in that area because that's what damaged the road in the first place from the monsoon season we had in 22. So we're trying to get some good drainage in there so that that road will be able to hold up anything. We'll do the best we can. There's not a lot of good drainage in that area, so we just do what we can there. And then we hope to jump on that chip seal on Birch as well this year. We're still staging chips in a couple of places, but most of our chips are staged for the entire chip seal. Fred, our new superintendent of highways, we kind of walked through some mistakes that were made last year about not getting our chip stockpiled early enough. And last year we didn't realize there was going to be a shortage of chip. And we were just lucky enough to get all the chip we needed. But because we kind of learned our lesson, Fred got on it really soon this year, and we were able to stage all of our chip for the entire season, and we're already staged for almost everything we need. So we're in a really good situation as far as chip goes. Do you guys have any questions about the highways work plan?
I was just going to say, it's always a good thing to be ahead of schedule, and I'm glad to hear that you are. And you mentioned a couple of ways that you're ahead of schedule, and I appreciate that. If you care to, you could tell me either now or later what makes you, what criteria are in your head seeking contracting versus in-house for whatever the project might be.
Okay. Well, one of the major reasons we would look at contracting is if we're doing construction that would exceed, I think it's like $275,000 this year, somewhere in there. There's a limitation on what we can spend. And so if we had a project that exceeded that amount, whatever that threshold is, then we would look at contracting. In years past, I've looked at contracting, and we have contracted a couple of times. And that's to make sure that we meet our goals and also to allow people in the public to get a little bit of work from the county, give them a little bit of work while we're doing something else. We can have them do that. So it's almost like we're lost opportunity. So if we have them do this, we can be working on this. So we can get 2 things done at once. So we've looked at doing it that way too. We had a contractor come in and do Charleston last year, and it was just under $1 million to do that 15 or 16 miles of road. So we still look at that here and there, and depending on our projects, the cost. We have a road right now that's kind of up in the air on how much it'll cost. It's Parker Ranch Road. And depending on where that comes in, it's something that we would look at contracting possibly for that. But it basically boils down to, do we have the manpower to do this project? And the other part of it is, how much money are we going to spend? So if we spend X amount, we have to go contract.
Is Parker Road north of Davis Road?
Parker Road is north of Davis Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Go into solid waste now. We threw another picture on there for you. Just that's the new landfill compactor that we bought last year. So going into solid waste, things are looking pretty good for us right now. As you can see in that top line there, comparing March 23 to March of 24, our tonnage is up. We're still charging the $64 a ton, so our revenues are up. Our revenues are up about $109,000. If you come down to the payroll line, you'll see that we did some market adjustments this last year, which took a hit to our payroll line of about $166,000. So we're up there, but we have saved money in operations and maintenance and heavy fleet equipment operations and maintenance. Both of those lines we've saved quite a bit of money in. So the difference really is we're actually plus 44,000 still in total revenues. Our expenses are just under our revenues, but because we've offset that with a lot of recycling and stuff like that, getting stuff removed from the waste stream and getting it up to Tucson to sell, like iron and aluminum and cardboard, which is something we were going to talk about later in this solid waste briefing, that those materials that we get up there also add to our revenue, which help us offset any expenses. So if you look, 90,000 was our last March and 134,000. So we're up that 44,000.
Good news.
Yeah. These next two sheets kind of go together. The RRAB, the last RRAB meeting we went to, sorry.
Rate Review Advisory.
Yeah, the Rate Review Advisory Board. The last meeting we went to, they requested that we come up with a couple of flyers and something to put on the internet for recycling, because we're starting to dabble in recycling again, and we wanted to make sure that the public knew about it. So they want to have some advertisement going on. And these are the two flyers we came up with. Basically, the first flyer shows acceptable, marketable, recyclable, and standard rates apply, and it has all of our locations, contact information, and all that. And I know it's really hard to read on these little sheets, but and then the second sheet is basically the types of materials that we accept and the types of materials that are not acceptable. And we did put in there that the recyclables may change based on markets, because right now we're only recycling things that are marketable. We live in such a rural area that not everything's recyclable. It doesn't make sense for us to
drive it.
Yeah, drive it up to Tucson or whatever. And sometimes there isn't even a place in Tucson to take it. Most people that can recycle plastics right now or glass, they're usually on the East Coast or the West Coast where there's not a lot of trucking, and people are very vigilant about getting it really super clean, and there's no trucking costs in it.
Right, and there's also deposits for bottles and so on.
Right. Yep. So that was something that I wanted to make sure you guys seen, because this is something we'd like to put on the website. We're going to take this to the Rate Review Advisory Board on the 16th. I think it's the 16th of May. And we'll get their input as well to see if they want to add something or if they have any say about it.
What other entities are on the Rate Review Advisory Board?
So those are all the city managers.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And, they weigh in on what they want to see us do, and we take that into consideration. We can bring it to the board depending on what it is. Sometimes it doesn't require a vote. In this case, it's just basically getting an opinion on what should be on our website, which I think this will work pretty well, because I ran it through several people that do recycling themselves, and they were pretty pleased with it, including Joe. So I think it'll work on our website, and it'll be a good place for us to start anyway.
Thank you.
No other questions about solid waste?
Nope.
Okay. All right, moving on to fleet. These are two brand new vehicles that we just had upfitted. One of them's a superintendent's truck and one of them's a brand new sheriff's Tahoe. As you know, we talked about at the last work session, us hiring a upfitter in-house. And so that was something that I wanted to talk about as we go through this. We bought a few new pieces of equipment. I have those listed here. We bought a water truck on the heavy fleet side, an asphalt milling machine, which will help us do small repairs like potholes and edge of pavement damage and things like that without having to basically make it look bad.
Is it the same as a grinder?
It's very simple. Yeah, it's like a hammer
Something-
mill, and it
Okay.
goes on the front of our skid steer.
Okay, is it chopping up the street or is it chopping up asphalt that's already chopped up?
It's chopping up asphalt.
Okay.
Yeah, and it makes a nice clean cut instead of us going in there and trying to dig it out with a road grader or something, and then it looks kind of hopscotched together, and then we go in there and patch it. This machine squares it up, flattens it down, makes it look real nice. It's very professional looking. And so we bought one of those machines. It's really helped in the labor side of things because it takes about half the time to do the same repair as it would before. So the striper truck is something that I put in here. That was something we talked about. You guys voted on earlier today. So we're going to move forward with that. We've already got the PO started for that. So hopefully we'll have that by July, I think 15th is what they're telling us. So it may roll into the next fiscal year, but our ducks are in a row. We're done. We're just going to be waiting for delivery now. On the light fleet side, we have 10 vehicles received currently. 4 of those vehicles have been upfitted already since January. So it was taking us about 6 months to get an upfit done on a sheriff's vehicle in the past. You guys were good with us hiring and filling that vacancy we had, and we filled that vacancy with someone that can do upfits. The guys have actually shared those duties, and they're rotating through the shop on who's doing an upfit now. It's working really good, but we have that extra body that can do other things while somebody's doing an upfit. So we've done 4 in the time that it takes an upfitter to do 1.
Who was doing it before the city of Sierra Vista?
We had it contracted with Airwave
Okay.
and there was Pride. Yeah. And we still are utilizing them for all of our grant vehicles. We didn't like take all their work away. We're still sending them grant vehicles. And if we're backed up and we have a bunch of vehicles that needed upfitted, we're still sending them one at a time to kind of keep them working on stuff.
To the contractor or to the city?
To the contractor. Yeah. So the contractor will get a vehicle from us if we have vehicles sitting there and we're already doing upfits. Again, it kind of goes back to lost opportunity. We send them a vehicle while we're doing this, they're doing that. And that way we don't lose any time. And really it's like doubling up our upfits. I know they can only go so fast. We may only get one of the vehicles back from them to our 2 or 3. In this case, it's actually 4. So it's money well spent. We've definitely gone along.
Who's faster between the contractor and your in-house?
We are.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing basically 4 to 1 right now.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So it's worked out really good because one of the upfits that we're doing actually right now is a K9 unit, which will be done this week, which takes quite a bit more effort to get that done.
How do you maintain consistency on the equipment and the installation?
How do we maintain
Yeah,
that?
just like instructions, you're going to do it like this?
Yeah.
Not everybody gets to like do whatever they want.
No. So they have a certain way they do it. Basically, we disconnect the battery. The guys have kind of a routine where they go through and strip the vehicle down of everything that'll be removed or anything that needs to be loosened or brought down or anything while it's being rewired and upfitted. And they almost have like a page by page, step by step
Okay.
thing that they do depending on the upfit. The K9 unit's a new one for us, so we're kind of developing that one as we go. But it's working really well. The mechanic that is currently working on is doing a fabulous job.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just concerned about that from my experience in the Border Patrol. We had every sector had their certain way of doing things with either the vehicles or the helicopters. And when you transferred one vehicle to another place, somebody'd have to figure it all out. How did they do this? So there
Right.
wasn't a lot of consistency.
What's really interesting about this, and I see where you're coming from, is we've got 3 or 4 different guys now that have gotten their fingers in there. So we're able to see their strong points and weak points too. So we can see who's better at electrical, and maybe we're going to have a guy that does the electrical portion. And then there's a guy that does fabricating better than the others. And so there may be a point where we start picking up efficiencies too by having this guy do this portion and this guy do this portion. But I think we'll get to a point where we can probably turn out a vehicle a month is what I'm thinking is, which will be really amazing compared to getting one vehicle every 6 months. So.
I'm just thinking about as long as it doesn't have to be a new schematic for every single vehicle, they don't have to call Joe from IT or something like that.
Now, the catch to that is that we stick with the Chevrolet platform, because I know we allowed the sheriff's department to go out and get some Dodges recently on a grant, and we're finding that would happen if we continue down that road. If you start mixing Dodge with Ford with Chevy, it's going to slow us way down.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It's a consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's all I have for you, unless you have any questions.
I think I got all my questions addressed, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
So is there any further comment from our meeting attendees?
No further comment?
Okay. Seeing no further comment, this meeting is adjourned. The next meeting is at 2.
Perfect.
And it is going to be which meeting? Next meeting today is at 2 o'clock with the BOS in the Board of Supervisors hearing room for a work session regarding engineering and natural resources department informational update. The end. Sure.